the Song of Songs, which is Solomon's. The Bride. My beloved is mine, and I am his. He pastures his flock among the lilies. Before the dawned wind rises, before the shadows flee, return, be my beloved like a gazelle, a young stag on the mountains of the covenant. On my bed at night, I sought him whom my heart loves. I sought him, but I did not find him. So I will rise and go through the city, in the streets and the squares. I will seek him whom my heart loves. I sought, but did not find him. The watchmen came upon me on their rounds in the city. Have you seen him whom my heart loves? Scarcely had I passed them, then I found him whom my heart loves. I held him fast, nor would I let him go, till I had brought him into my mother's house, into the room of her who conceived me. The Bridegroom. I charge you, daughters of Jerusalem, by the gazelles, by the hinds of the field, not to stir my love, nor rouse it, until it please to awake. I'm going to read again from page 169, the introduction to the Spring of Betrothal, because I just want to kind of remind all of us of this before we get into the little bit I want to share with you today. At the end of each poem, we believe that the lovers are finally united. But in the next poem, we see the renewal of desire, then of waiting and of seeking until there is a new union. This will continue as long as life goes on. There is no end to our waiting, our desire, and our search for God. And the union, even though it progresses from one poem to the next, from one conversion to the next, will be achieved definitively only in the kingdom. In the song, we progress as if on a mountain path, returning indefinitely above the same point of view, in a spiral without any apparent progress. Yet each time we have come a little closer to the summit. Gregory of Nyssa, in his first homily, already observes this. God, through the voice of Solomon, teaches our reason, in the present philosophy of the Song of Songs, how to climb by successive stages toward perfection. A thought that's been going through my mind a lot lately, and I've been making some social media posts for Hope's Garden with it, that all of life is marriage preparation for the eternal wedding feast, that this is a lifelong preparation, a lifelong ascent up the spiraling path up the mountain to perfection. And again, what we talked about last week in St. Bernard, that tension between the now and the not yet, that we have moments, he gifts us with glimpses of himself, of his grace, of heaven, but we only get glimpses now. And those are just to strengthen us to continue this uphill journey. But our life is one of a constant seeking. In here, somewhere in the cantata, one of the saints has said that if it's in this constant seeking, that is the life of those who love God, is a constant seeking his face. And this is the only way that we will find him. And this is, again, why he sometimes hides, to cause us to seek more ardently. So the lines that I, in particular, wanted to share with you today are just about that. On my bed at night, I sought him whom my heart loves. I sought, but did not find him. The saints will talk about these verses in relation to the life of Mary Magdalene and also in the life of the Blessed Mother. And so I saw both of them. I was almost at the same time seeing Mary Magdalene after the crucifixion and the burial of her beloved, racing through the streets, seeking through the city, looking everywhere for him, going back to the tomb and saying, where is he? Where have they taken my master? And how this applied to our spiritual life was that, I'm going to use the word beginners because I've been reading John of the Cross, and that's the word that he uses. Although when he talks about beginners, he's not talking about those who are newly converted or newly seeking God, but really beginners on the path to perfection. So those of us who have already committed our hearts to Christ, who are consecrated ourselves to him, have given our lives over to God, are what he would call beginners. So as beginners, we often look outside of ourselves, right? We're seeking him. We're seeking knowledge of God. We want to know more about him. And so in a sense, you can see us running through the streets and the cities, asking the watchmen, asking the doctors of the church, the priests, the spiritual writers, where can I find him? Have you seen him? Tell me more about him. And so this, to me, related to Mary Magdalene's singing this part of the song after the crucifixion and her searching for Christ. And on the other hand, then I saw our Blessed Mother, who is already perfect, who is already our model of our hearts totally being one with the heart of Christ. And so in her, we see the soul who is already fully blooming in that complete surrender and trust in the Lord, that even though in her heart she was longing to see him again, seeking him, but she completely trusted in his promise that he would return. She didn't know what it meant or how he would, but she knew. And so her seeking was that calm, peaceful, laying on my bed at night, meditating on you, contemplating your goodness, contemplating your promises, trusting in your faithfulness, and waiting for you to reveal yourself to me. Not that the seeking of Mary Magdalene is wrong in any way. It's just, this is to show us, this is how we want to progress in our spiritual journey. This is how we want to grow in our surrender and trust in the Lord, that we don't have to work so hard, that we can lay here still and silent, contemplating his goodness, his beauty, his glory, and he will reveal himself to us. He, the risen bridegroom, will come and visit us, just as he came to visit his mother. And in the same way, he met Mary Magdalene where she was in that moment. He met her in the garden. He came to her where she sought him. So he will always meet us where we are. But it's just to show that this ascent up the spiraling mountain. So we may be where Mary Magdalene is, praying for her to intercede for us and help us on this journey, knowing that our goal is to become more and more like the Blessed Mother, to grow into that deep oneness of heart with our bridegroom. Really highly recommend Bernard's last sermon, and I'm going to read you just a little piece of that. If none of the other ones, he is, in this one, he gets very practical into how we should pray, how we should seek, why and how we should seek the bridegroom in very, very practical ways. So I'm going to read you just a little bit of that. It will repay us to examine further the privacy of the bed and the time, to see if there is any hidden spiritual meaning which it will be to our advantage to reveal. If we take the bed to mean human weakness, and the darkness of night human ignorance, it follows logically that the bride is seeking the word, the power of God, and the wisdom of God to overcome these two ills: power to strengthen her weakness, and wisdom to enlighten her ignorance. Nothing could be more fitting. But if any lingering doubt about this interpretation remains in the hearts of the simple, let them hear what the holy prophet says on this matter. From Psalm 40, the Lord strengthens him on his bed of sickness. It is you who make his bed in his weakness. That is enough about the bed. Now, as regards the night of ignorance, what could be clearer than what is said in another psalm, Psalm 81? They have not known, they have not understood, they walk in darkness. Does this not express perfectly the ignorance in which the whole human race was born? This is the ignorance, I think, which the blessed apostle admits he was born in, and gives thanks that he was rescued from, when he says, "He has snatched us from the power of darkness. We are not children of the night or of darkness. Walk as children of the light." And then there's this little note at the end of the 4th volume of Bernard's sermons. That's the end. That's it. All his sermons on the song end with that. Walk as children of the light. And I thought that was just what we needed to be reminded of right now when we keep hearing about the darkness, that we are not of the night or of darkness. We must walk as children of the light. And then the little note is, Bernard of Clairvaux died in 1153 without completing his sermon commentaries on the Song of Songs. The work was taken up by Gilbert of Hoyland. When he in turn died without having completed the commentary, it was finished in another 120 sermons by John of Ford. I'd like to share one more in the song. It's also about our prayer life. It's actually just about life. That balance between, contemplation and action. So it's from chapter 1, verse 12 of the song. So it's the first dialogue of the bride and the bridegroom. That first line, while the king rests in his own room, my nard yields its perfume. And it was when I was actually just, laying here resting and praying and thinking about what we had talked about last week, and this concept that he's still this image that he keeps giving me again and again, stressing how important it is right now, that he wants our hearts to be as little monasteries. So in the heart of the domestic church, our hearts need to be the little monasteries, and that he wants our hearts consecrated, just as a monastery, a convent is consecrated, set apart from the world as a place only for God, where God is the focus. That's what he wants in our hearts. And so I was, just meditating on that, and okay, so how do I keep doing that, and noticing in myself with having so many children returning home, and just life is, summer's over, school has started. So there's more and more craziness out there outside of my bedroom. And so I was asking him to guide me, like, how do I continue to do this? Like thanking him for this time, even of illness, where I've had so much time to be still and quiet in my heart with him, but seeing that my vocation as mother to my children is my primary vocation. And so I need to be, how do I balance this now? And balance still not feeling well and taking care of myself. So this is the line that he kept repeating to me. While the king rests in his own room, my nard yields its perfume. And the image that I had so clearly was what we talked about last time, that interior castle where the bridegroom has the bridal chamber, is his special space deep down within, in the secret of our interior castle. And he abides there. He has promised us. God has promised us. The Trinity abides within us. And he has this beautiful little room in our heart, in our interior castle, where he rests all the time in an engaged, active resting, right? We talked about his love is always engaged. He's always at work in us, but he's always there. And what he was saying to me was that I can't stay in that bridal chamber with him all the time. And he knows that, because he needs us out in the world, right? He needs us to be evangelizing, to be ministering, to fulfilling our daily vocations, to be living this life that he's given us. So he knows that we can't be there with him all the time. But when we go out, always having that awareness that we bring him with us, that we are sealed as seals on one another's hearts. Where we go, he goes. Where he goes, we go. And so that we bring him with us into all of our activity. And when we simply even make that morning offering as we get up to go, through Mary, I offer to you, Jesus, all that I think, say, and do today, that's enough then, that then everything that we think, say, or do becomes nard, becomes the most costly, expensive, beautifully scented oil, fragrant oil that raises up, or in a sense, sinks down deep into that interior castle and delights and pleases him as we are out doing all the things he calls us to do. Now, it's given me a new way to pray with the song, again, to just say to him as I open up my bedroom door, while you rest in your rooms, let my nard yield its perfume, and go out and do what I need to do.